What's happening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with your host, Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I am him. And as always, I'm joined by my man, NFL General Assignment Reporter for NJ.com, Chris Franklin. What's good, Chris?
Hey, nothing much, man. Doing great. How about yourself?
You're getting old, man. We were talking about it before the show. I let everybody know we were talking about getting old. I couldn't find my phone, and I was actually on my phone as I was looking for it. Chris couldn't find his earpiece. They were in his pocket. It's the beauties of getting old, though. But the best thing about being old is you don't make the same mistakes that young people make. You don't make the same. You learn your lessons from being young. So I can't complain too much about being old. I appreciate it.
Man, I tell myself I start to learn for myself. I find myself repeating the same one, and that's on me. Before I gotta do a better job. Put my still on Andy Reid. I gotta do a better job. Put myself in a position to actually remember stuff. I gotta do a better job to put myself in a position to actually know who I am and where I am. Yeah, stuff like
You know what
that.
I find myself doing a lot as I get older? I find myself saying, what was I saying? What was I saying? I find myself saying that once a day. Hold on, what was I about to say? Hold on, I lost my train of thought. So I find myself doing that a lot. Now, speaking of being young, new, fresh, and the benefits of being old and lessons learned. There's a young startup team. I believe a young startup team. I'm gonna give the floor to you first. So let me take that back. There's a team in Washington that appears to be on the rise. They appear to have gotten it right with their quarterback, although the numbers suggest a little bit different there. The Washington Commanders. They currently sit second in the conference. I I believed I picked them last year to be good. I know this year I mentioned it, but I didn't go ho hum on it. But the point is, it's not surprising to me that they're good this year. And the game against, in fact, real quick, when I was doing the Falcons prediction, I said I think the Falcons would have a hard time winning 9 games. And I pointed to the game against Washington, and everyone was like, "Oh, Washington, what are you talking about? I didn't know that." And I said, "No, Washington for the last prior to the last year had been a teetering around a 500 team, ready to break out." So anyway, Jane Daniels has had a great year, not so much statistically, but being a leader, being a commander, captain of the huddle. And now the Washington Commanders currently sit second in the conference with their record, I want to say 7-2. They've had close wins, they've had blowouts, they've had some tough losses. They're checking all the boxes as a young team on the rise. Can we honestly believe the Washington Commanders can hold on to first place in this division in the NFC East?
There is a good chance they could. I
Okay.
think there's is legit because when you look at the way that their schedule works out, of course they got the Steelers coming up, which is that's a tough game. The way the Steelers are playing, I didn't think the Steelers would be in the position they are. But you look at the other teams they got. Cowboys, we know what's going on. They're not good. The
Yep.
Titans aren't good at all. You got the Saints, which they fired their head coach already because after they lost the Carolina Panthers, the Eagles, Falcons, and Cowboys. That's playing that type of schedule
Yeah.
sets them up very good to go on a run. And the way they're playing right now, they're relying on Jay Daniels playing the safe, high accurate passes. I thought he was going to be the better quarterback out of him and Caleb Williams. Thank you very much, Jay Daniels, for making me look right so far. Appreciate that. But you look at this and the way their offense, they're just playing complementary football. The defense is not spectacular, but they're doing enough to get off the field. Your offense is not spectacular. You got relying on guys like Zach Ertz, but they're playing well enough and making time plays. And as long as you get the offense defense being complementary the way they have a chance to stay in a lot of games. This game coming up Thursday night, not so much the Steelers game. I think they lose this one, but the games against Philadelphia are going to decide the division, hands down.
Yeah.
And they split against the Eagles. They play the Eagles tough, especially at Lincoln Financial Field.
They
So
always play the Eagles stuff.
they have a legitimate shot. What do you think?
Well, going back to that, you mentioned a couple things here. The record for me, when I first was proposing a question, I do research on these questions to see if there is a point of view that makes sense. Like if it's not stating the obvious, like if Patrick Mahomes the best quarterback in the NFL, like that's stating the obvious. So you want to find something. And the thing about the Commanders that really made me that was resounding for me was two things. First, they've only played 4 teams thus far with a winning record, and 2 of those teams were roughly 500. It was the Bears and Arizona Cardinals, and they beat those teams. I think well, the Cardinals what 5-4. So
Yeah.
yeah, all right. So and the Bears are 4-4. So, but they're roughly 500, and those are the 2 teams they beat. The 2 really good teams they played, the Steelers and I forget who the other team was that they played. That's good. They lost to. So it makes you really say, okay, well, are they that good? But here's the thing: when you're a young good team, you make strides, but you don't make leaps, if that makes sense. And by making strides, 4-4, 2-2 against winning opponents or teams 500 or better, that's good for a young team because you're competitive in the games you should be. You're not getting your doors blown off. And then you're winning games against teams that could possibly be at your level. So that means you're going better. You're getting better. Then you look at the second half of their schedule. They only play three, I want to say they only play three teams with a winning record. As you mentioned, you picked them to lose the Steelers. I'm gonna join you on that and say they're gonna lose the Steelers. But playing the Eagles tough is paramount for them because more than likely they're gonna split. It's very unlikely that either side, whether you're a Commanders fan or an Eagles fan, that you're gonna go 2-0. So more than likely you're gonna split. Going into your stretch run, oh, they play the Falcons. That's the other third team they play. Going into those final 2 weeks of the season, playing the Cowgirls and the Falcons, and the Cowboys are back to the Cowgirls, and I love it. But going back into those final 2 games, those 2 games could decide the division, but at the very least, Chris, they'll decide your playoff seeding. For a young upstart team, that's a tremendous stride. So I do believe that they can hold on to first place, but I also think the Eagles could hold on to first place because the bottom line is who's going to be healthy. Jalen Hurts is dealing with an ankle injury. Daniels is dealing with the ribs and some other bumps and bruises. Whoever is healthiest at the quarterback position and in the secondary, and I'm going to dare I say this, at the running back position, that's going to be the team that wins. You've got to have those. Your quarterback's got to be healthier. Your secondary, not your defense, your secondary, because you can't give up those big plays in the passing game. You cannot give up those big plays in the passing game. And if you can be able to ground and pound in the NFC East, in the Northeast corridor, in December and in January, and I want to say parts of November, but mostly December, mostly January, you'll win. You'll win the division. So the answer to the question is, can they continue? Can they maintain first place? Yes, but there's some nuance and context to it. I think that by it, they've had some great early moments as a team, but I feel like they're a good team, which leads to being a great team, depending on where you are at the position. And you like Jaden Daniels. I like Jaden Daniels. I thought Dan Campbell was a good, not Dan. Why do I always want to call Dan Quinn Dan Campbell? Dan Quinn Dan Campbell. I think Quinn was a really good coach for a young team that just needed some stability around here. Just needed some stability there. So, yeah, I believe the Commanders can hold on, but health is going to be the deciding factor. How healthy are the Eagles? How healthy are the Commanders? And going from there. What say you?
Well, here's the thing that really is going to come down to that when you think about this, both teams are going they should win all their remaining of their division games. And I think for the Eagles, they need
The
to win both of
division
them. It's more
games,
imperative.
Chris. We go through this
Yep.
every week. Not mean to cut you off, but the division, you can never, ever, 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 ever say they're gonna win a division game. Division games can go either way. Them guys hang out in the off season. They're the first film that they well, you know this better than me. When a guy joins a team, the first thing he does is watch the divisional opponents. So
Yep.
on film. So yeah, I can't ride with you on that. Division games can never be taken for granted. I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles split with the Cowgirls. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
For them, they need these wins. And you look for if you look from an Eagles perspective, they need it really bad because when you look at the second tiebreaker, say they split and they
Mm-hmm.
both and both teams win both of their games against the Cowboys and the Giants. This is where that Falcons game the Eagles lost comes back to bite them
Ooh.
because when you look at the Commanders, their losses came to the Ravens, AFC, not that, but
Yeah.
onto the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Eagles have two conference losses, so
No.
technically they'd have the tiebreaker. They need to win both of those games against the Commanders. Almost at the other name,
That's a
they
great
need to get
point.
both of these games. So yeah, even if they lost, what have you, they figure this out. But the way that knowing that and the dangers you mentioned this too, they're a young team. Young teams don't know anything about the playoffs. Young teams are going in with their confidence. They're like they're cocky. We were talking about youth and experience earlier.
Mm.
No, we can beat them. We can do it, and that's all you need. You just need confidence to go in against a lot of these teams. The pressure is going to be on the Eagles because they got all these names and everything, and the Commanders are upstart. Nobody's really expecting anything of them, so they're playing looser. So
Yeah.
you can see there's a legitimate case they can win this thing.
Let me just. I know we're gonna switch to the next house, so let me wrap this up with a bow. You raised a great, a tremendous point, and I want to say this about the Commanders: they're not playing with the burden of expectations either. I thought they would be good. You thought Jaden Daniels would be a quarterback, but nobody was really ready to say they were a team that were ready to compete for an NFC East crown. Like that was supposed to be Dallas and Philly, and maybe the Giants, depending on where you sat. Very few people thought the Commanders would compete. Not only are they competing, they're competing at a high level. But if they were to falter, they would have struggled, they would have tripped, they would have fallen. No one would say, man, they blew it. Everyone would say, well, they had a good. So not having the burden of the expectations that Philly carries. And another thing, the playoffs start, and I hate this phrase, so I'm not going to say it because I hate that phrase. Matchups matter in the playoffs. The Eagles lost to the Falcons, so that's a tough loss for them. But they just barely beat the Packers. I don't think either one. Let's just say, as Eagle fans, I'd rather see the Falcons again than the Packers. I don't want to see Matt LaFleur's play calling again. Don't. I have no qualms with saying that. So, if I've got to pick a poison, I'd rather not be poisoned. But if I got to pick one, I'm definitely going to go with I'd rather see the Falcons over the Packers. So I'm just going to say matchups matter.
And that's happening right now. The way that if the season is today, 3-6, Falcons, Eagles go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Hey, it's tough. I don't think
Exactly.
they can do it.
Hey, I ain't mad. I ain't mad. You see the Packers again, they get a second shot at you. I'd rather have the second shot when you're on the losing side versus second shot when you're on the winning side. That's just my opinion. Now, speaking of losing, I'm gonna move the rundown here. Before when we started the season, I asked you a litany of questions, a multitude of questions about the Dallas Cowboys being an atrocity. I think it'll start. How bad are the Cowboys? Oh, they're not that bad. They'll be there at the end. That's what you said. How
Yep.
long before we hear Bill Belichick's name? I don't think so. I think Mike McCarthy will pull together. That's what you said.
Yep.
Is signing Dak and CD Lamb about it? No, I think I think Dak is playing with it for his last year, but I think CD will be there. That's what you said. Are you ready to admit to our 40 viewers, consistent 40 viewers, are you ready to admit that the Dallas Cowboys have been a disaster since the offseason? And we are not
Yeah.
surprised, or you are not no longer surprised.
It, Mike McCarthy, man. I figured at least scheme up. He can scheme up something. He can use his weapons the way he had. Even if it wasn't a running back, you didn't have the top tier running back. You can at least find ways to get you guys open. You can get. This has been atrocious, and there's only so much injuries you can. You can only use injuries for so much of an excuse.
Oh,
Michael
yeah,
Parsons, yeah, you don't have him. Okay, I get it. You don't have a dig at one point in Deron Bland. Okay, I get it. But at the same time, there's no excuse. You should have had depth there to replace it. And that's fault of Jerry Jones. That part's fault of Jerry Jones. And well, I'm going to worry about making the most money I can. But oh wait, I know what's best for this. Stephen Jones needs to take over. I'm sorry, not the point. Stephen Jones needs to take over that team. It's
yeah,
nowhere beyond that. He needs to take over that. Jerry can focus on the business side, the owner stuff, and everything else. When he's done well, it's time. Unfortunately, it's time for him. And this team is just they can say all they want. Oh, we can make it's got to the point where they go, oh, we can if we go this and this and we make a run here and we do this here. No, you got Cooper Rush under center. And I don't care if you say, wow, he's 4-1 the last time he had an extended stretch. Last time he extended stretch, they couldn't score over 25 points. Like,
yeah.
come on now. Like nah, it's dead in the water. It's depending on where you're from. This is going to be a fun time to watch the Cowboys implode or what
Yeah.
have you. And even then, it's got to the point where they're going to get a top draft pick. They're probably going to fumble the bag on that too. So it just continues to
Always.
go on. It's bad.
I have long disagreed with the assertion that Jerry Jones is a problem in Dallas. We're never going to see eye to eye on that. Yes, he is a demanding owner. What's the phrase? Always in the videos, always in the songs, always on the record. Come to death row. Like I feel like and it's a bad person to say anything positive about. But Bad Boy still had success as a record label. Dallas still had success as an organization. They're struggling right now, and what I believe is they don't have belief in their team. Dak Prescott is not a bad quarterback. Dakota Prescott is he's definitely a top 15 quarterback. And depending on where you sit in your unbiased opinion, he's a top 10 quarterback. Michael Parsons, Deion Blank, like Deion Blank, those are good players. They've got good players. The coaching, I don't think McCarthy's that bad of a coach. I don't think he's that good. The problem is when you tell your team in no certain circumstance or no certain way, this dude ain't going to be here by not giving him a contract extension. When you go into the season, into the mini camp, and into the first game of the season playing Russian roulette with your starting quarterback in his contract, playing Russian roulette with your starting wide receiver in his contract, you're sending a message to the other guys. And this is something I'm going to jump sports, but it's funny how these two meet on the road. This is something we're going through with the Sixers. You have a guy who has done everything, who has tried to find every way to win outside of just doing the hard lifting, and Daryl Morey. And it's the same thing in this situation, not so much with Jerry Jones, but the Cowboys organization. Because I don't think it falls on Jerry Jones, because I think he takes a lot of blame because he's big enough to carry, his shoulders are wide enough to carry that. But I think it's more problems organizationally than we know. But there's a certain amount of heavy lifting that comes with being, one of the champions. Kenny Smith's got a great line. Champions do what other people don't want to do consistently. And when you look at the Cowboys and you look at the Sixers, part of that is developing talent, but part of that is accepting the things you can't control, accepting the things that you may not accept or believe in, or you may not believe in, but you have to accept them for the betterment of the team. You may not like Mike McCarthy as a head coach. The people around you may say we can do better at head coach, but you should have signed him and put something in the contract for you to get out next year. So that way your team knows no matter what, this is your leader. You get me? You feel me? You signed Dak Prescott and you put something in the contract to get out. Same way Howie Roseman does. To get out of that contract, to tell your team, no matter what, this is our captain in a huddle. Going back to the Sixers, you tell your center, you got to play. You come in camp and you play. You're playing back to backs. This is what the job entails. We're not giving you an extension until you can do the job we're paying you to do. That tells your team every game matters. You don't wait for this guy to play because those are the games that matter. That's the problem you're having. They don't want to do the heavy lifting. In Dallas, they don't want to believe in McCarthy. They don't want to, believe in Dak. They want to try to find a way to make more money without spending money. They want to find a way to be in front of the cameras and all in the videos and all on the albums instead of being in the studio making beats when there's no cameras around. Instead of being in I was about to say the financial advisors room, but instead of being in the finance department, finding loopholes in the contract so you can still get it out publicly that they sign this big money. That's the problem in Dallas. That's always going to be the problem in Dallas. They don't want to do the heavy lifting. Jalen Hurts is loved because he's willing to do the heavy lifting. Problem is he can't do the little lifting. He can't do the little things like not turn the ball over. But I went on a tangent there, but let me wrap it up with a bow. I don't believe Jerry Jones is the problem in Dallas. I don't believe Mike McCarthy's the problem in Dallas. I don't believe Dakota's the problem in Dallas. I believe that organizationally, they all are the problem. And you can't remove one and get better. You know what I mean? You got to start and rebuild from the bottom, or in this case, from the top. And that's the only way you'll get better. And it starts with a change of philosophy. And it's not going to happen as long as the goal is to make money and not win championships, because he's making money hand over fist. Nothing wrong with that one. They're one of the worst teams in football. Damn if they ain't on every show. You can't talk football without talking Dallas Cowgirls in some way, shape, or form. So I suck the air out of the segment. I'll give the final word to you on the Cowboys.
Well, see, I think one thing to watch as well too, especially the name to watch is Shedeur Sanders, and we know how much Jerry likes to make a splash. March 18th is a very important date to watch because you can still move Prescott if you really, really want to, because his contract becomes guaranteed on March 18th if he's whoever has him. that's when his contract is guaranteed. So if you trade him and you're looking to get some picks back afterwards, maybe get a first, maybe get a second, what quarterback needy team, or have you say if I'm just calling him Favre because he's kind of acting like him. Wait, Aaron Rodgers, say if he decides to retire, have you the Jets want to have, or say I don't know, maybe he goes to the Giants or whatever. They're looking for a quarterback afterwards. They want a veteran to go in there. You can move him before there. You're going to take a big cap, $13 million cap hit if you do it before at that time. But in the following year, it eases up a lot. You save a lot more. I wouldn't be surprised to look and see if they start talking before the if it really implodes and they have a shot. They talk to Sanders, it's like, you know what, that's the guy that we want to have behind center. Dion's mentioned. I think Dion, with the connection he has with Jerry, thinks highly of him. That's something to watch as the season as off season starts when it begins next year.
Well, first of all, kudos to you for correcting me without correcting me, but correcting me. They do have an out to get rid of them in March, and that had they done the
Yeah.
contract earlier, then that would have helped a lot. But I don't. I have a rule, a personal rule, since I've been in the media, and when I was at ESPN Radio, wherever I've been, I am not critical of college players. I wait until they're being evaluated for draft when they finish their season and they're officially turned professional, even though they may not be a team before I am critical of it. So I don't, and then I have a personal affinity for Deion Sanders. I told my wife earlier, I said I was watching, they had just got blown off by Nebraska. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna watch Colorado and root for them. I'm not gonna critique them. I'm not gonna just gonna watch them and root for them. That's it. And since then they went on a run. It looks like they're gonna make a bowl, and I'm so excited for Deion. With that said, I'm gonna take away from the norm. I'm gonna say this to you, Chris. And Emery's gonna kill me for this. He is because he's been bullish on Shador Sanders for years. Like and Emery's never wrong. Like some dudes are rarely like I'm rarely wrong. Em is never wrong.
No, he's
I don't
not.
see it with Shador. I
Yeah,
don't see
he's
it with
good.
Shador. I see a guy that holds on to the ball way too long. I see a guy who has a hard time has a hard time not decision making, but has a hard time making the right decisions at certain portions of the close games. I see a guy that reminds me a lot of Anthony Richardson, where it's feast or famine. And I also see a guy that's been playing college football now for almost 6 years, if I'm not mistaken. First pick in the draft overall, going to Dallas. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it, man.
I think it may be five. If he falls like that 4 or 5 range, and they're able to trade Prescott, see if they get a first round, 2 firsts, and maybe a third or a second the following year. That might be enticing for enough team to go like, you know what? Yeah, we'll take it. Ooh, like the Panthers. The Panthers get like if you offer them because they've been without their picks for trade up for Bryce Young, but they're like, hey, you know what? We'll give you 2 firsts, a second in 2026, a third in 2025 to move up like a couple spots. Not the one, but like say if he falls, I think he's gonna go like three. There's something about it. I think he goes something like 3, 5
I
range
got to see the
because they're gonna
draft
pick him
order.
apart.
I got to see the draft order. I will say this though: Tua will be available, Dak will be available, Carr will be available. Trying to think of guys that are starting level quarterbacks. Help me out. Who am I missing? What am I
Don't
missing?
you want Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell? I'm joking on that. I'm joking.
So, all right.
It's
So
a joke
we
on
got
that.
and maybe either Fields or Russell Wilson, depending on how that plays out in Pittsburgh. I just can't see a team wanting to hitch their wagon to Shador. Like I give an example, Cleveland, and I know Dion says he doesn't want him to go there, but the NFL ain't the NBA. They'll draft you if they want you there, and you got to make your way out. I just don't see that. I don't see the talent for a top five talent, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong because I'm a Dion. I am. People say don't be biased. The hell with that. I'm biased with Dion. I root for Dion, and I'm never critical. I'm never critical of Dion ever. Like people say, oh well, he shouldn't do this. He's building to. Yeah, well, okay. I'm tuning in at 1 o'clock. Watch the game. Got my Colorado cup ready to sit. All right, now we're not going to talk Shador Sanders because, like I said, I just don't like. Just fundamentally, I don't like college. College is where the babies play, and let the babies just play. Let the babies be babies. Like let them just have fun. It's the last time they get to have fun doing something. So this is going to be a tough segment for me because I'm going to be admitting not only where I'm wrong, I don't mind being wrong. I actually like being wrong because it usually evens up because it's a lesson learned. But it's the person I'm wrong about. So we're going to do our MVP halfway through the season. Who's your pick for MVP? And I'll give it to you in a second, but I get this on because if I sit on it, I'm probably gonna fall asleep.
I think it should be Lamar Jackson. It should be
Okay.
24 and 2. That's tough number. You know they're not going to give them back to back. You know
But
that.
they
So you
shouldn't
know
though. They
they
shouldn't. No, hold on.
should.
No, no, no. I disagree. I disagree with you, Chris. And we'll just hold it right there. Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, the bar has been raised for them. They 24 and 2, that's good. But we expect that from Lamar. We don't expect, like, you can't put a number on it, but you expect greatness from. I liken it to you like this. So I got to get a car. My next car is gonna. Well, I'm front for the gram, but my next car is gonna be a Benz. I love a Benz. I had a
Right.
Benz, love the Benz. I have a certain level of expectation for a Benz. I have a certain level of expectation for a Lexus. So oh, they got a touch screen that is voice operated. They should. It's a Benz. You hop in a Camry, you hop in a Toyota, you hop in a Volvo or Volkswagen. They got a touch screen that's voice operated. It's like because your expectations change. So no, Lamar Jackson should not get another MVP because damn it, we expect him to be spectacular. That's the bar for you, Lamar. That's the bar for you, Lamar. That's the bar for you, Mahomes. You're 8-0. You should be 8-0. You're Patrick freaking Mahomes. Your team should be rolling. You're the Baltimore freaking Ravens. You're Lamar Jackson. That's the problem. So he understands he's Lamar Jackson. Then they're never going to win a Super Bowl. But I was out on him before the season started because he wet the bed last year in the AFC title game. I'm back on the bandwagon because I'm a fan. But damn it, no more MVPs. So I'll give you mine after you give me yours.
All right. Mine is Lamar Jackson. The thing to watch though that scares
I say
me
all that.
with
Mine is Lamar Jackson.
well, mine is Lamar Jackson. Theirs, I think, is going to wind up being, and I hope uh, it's a quarterback thing. I think it's going to wind up with Mahomes again. I think they're going to give it to Mahomes just because he had that break in the middle. But the thing that really scares me, and I'm hearing a lot of media members say this, and they're setting it up to make this. I hope this does not happen because I think it sets a bad precedent. If the Bengals somehow makes the playoffs, I'm hearing Joe Burrow's name so much. No, I'm not picking him. I'm
I'm not
not
even.
picking him. It,
I'm
it's
not even talking about that. I'm not even talking about it. If there has been more of a dude living off one season, one win, I can't find another guy. Like I'm not even talking about him. I'm gonna tell you right now who the MVP is gonna be. And I
who's
picked
that?
Saquon early, and he's had a tremendous year, but he hasn't had the year necessary to win an MVP. And it hurts my soul to say this. It really does. It hurts my spirit. I feel a little bit of my life leaving my body when I say this. Because I always thought this guy was a great playmaker, but not a great quarterback. It's Josh Allen. Before the season, I mean, before we started the show, I asked you, has Josh
Yeah.
Allen thrown an interception yet? Holy gumshoe, Batman. Think about that. Has Josh Allen thrown an interception yet? This dude has got like 3 interception games. Has Josh Allen thrown an interception yet? Quickly, 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 quickly. And I know they got Amari Cooper. Who are his starting wide receivers when the season started?
Keon Coleman and I don't know
Exactly.
the other one.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly, dude. Who's their starting running back?
It's not. Is it James Cook?
Exactly. Is it? We don't know who they are. Sean McDermott is his head coach. He's all right, but he ain't real. And I used the analogy earlier of, you have you guys, you have certain levels of expectation. Like I use the Benz polo sweatsuit. Polo sweatsuit is supposed. I'm showing my age, but damn it, I don't care. Polo sweatsuit, some throwback Nikes, some J's. Regardless of your age, that's a go-to uniform. You're never blown away. Polo sweatsuit doesn't fade. Stays sharp through the years. Now, if a Nike sweatsuit still stays sharp, whoa, I got a good buy here. Level of expectations change, man. You go to the fancy Chinese food restaurant, food comes out, it's like, it's good. Yeah, it's good. You like it. You go to the Chinese restaurant with the bulletproof glass, if the food doesn't give you the bubble guts in an hour, it's like, yo, I might go back there. Again, expectations set the standard. We didn't think that Josh Allen would be this good, and this efficient. No way, no way, no how. We believe this dude would be, again, playmaker, not a great quarterback. This ain't a Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes award. Go ahead.
Yeah, it feels like it. It really is. Those are really good points because we did a lot with a lot less. Once Diggs left, I wrote him off. I'm like, there's no way that he can move this
Mm-hmm.
offense. And yeah, it's good. He deserves to be in the running. He really does. When you look at everything else, the fact that he looked the most valuable in the sense of what the award's supposed to be, yeah, he's been the most valuable guy to a team. When you look at that, you take Mahomes out, put somebody else out, you can still say make an argument. Okay, they got Hopkins, they got Kelsey, you can do that thing. You take put Lamar in, they got Derrick Henry, they got Zay Flowers, you can still move it. You take Josh Allen away from that offense, are they even 500? So yeah, are they
And
even 500? Yeah,
and I'll give him. I'll throw this in there. Ken Dorsey, Brian Gable. This dude has had a rotisserie of offensive play callers, and he still manages to make plays. And this year, he's been a great quarterback. Look, I would love to say it's Saquon. I would love every bit of it to say it's Saquon. I would love every bit to say Jalen Hurts. But Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, this isn't an award for them anymore, man. For them, it's Super Bowl. Unless Patrick Mahomes puts up a 6,000 yard season, then you say, okay, yeah, 6,000 yards, we're ready to go. But he's 8-0. It's Patrick Mahomes. That's what you expect. It's what you expect. Serious, what you expect. Great comebacks on national TV. It's what you expect in Baltimore. What you don't expect is that sucker in Buffalo to be sitting at 7-2, 7-2 right now. I
yeah,
know they're second in the conference. And no, I don't care that New England, Miami, and the Jets are in the division. That ain't his fault. He's beating the teams they're supposed to beat. So yeah, I'm Josh Allen's gonna, barring some, unforeseen serendipitous slide. I think Josh Allen's gonna walk away with MVP. And he's earned it. And I hate the fact that I have to say that because I'm tired of the numbnuts in Buffalo. But I'm not gonna let my emotion lead dictate my decision. And he earned it. He earned it. Give me your picks for the week.
all right, you're going to hate this one, but it's true. I think the Cowboys cover. I think it's going to, the Eagles win, but 7.5. You know it's real. Home
Yeah.
dog, that many points. I can't see the Eagles win beating them by it. If they do, it's something late and they get a late touchdown. I got the Cowboys winning there. I look at the Buccaneers 6.5. Though
Mm.
even without the way they've been playing with the way Baker's been playing, the way that offense has still been able to churn without those wide receivers, and 49ers having to play at 10 a.m. go across country West Coast, I think they cover. I don't know if they went outright, but I think that they cover. And the other one, the Deutschland guy in Munich, the stinker of all stinkers. The Giants, I know the Panthers are
You're
so
not gonna
bad.
believe this. I'm on the same page with you. Go ahead. I'm on the
Yeah,
same page with you.
the Giants should never be getting 6.5 points by anybody. That offense is decent. I look more of it as they're banking the deep Giants defense are going to stop the Carolina offense with Bryce Young. That's the only way I can see it be 6.5. But this team does not warrant having that many points given into them as a favorite. I think they win. If anything, I think they win by a field goal, what have you, 3 or 4 points, something like 24-20 or 24-21, something like that. And I don't think I'm being too high with that total right there. No way the Giants should be getting that, but I'm going to take the Panthers on that.
And I'm gonna piggyback with you on that. The two games that caught my eye. The first one was the Giants, and I don't care where that game is. The Giants getting 6.5 against anybody, even a scout team, is ridiculous. They're not that good of a football team. So I 100% believe that the Panthers will keep that game close. Now maybe a late pick or something breaks it open. We can't foresee that, but I definitely think that game will be close, possibly a field goal. Another game that I'm watching, and I got like 4 minutes left in the segment. Kansas City 8.5 over Denver. I get it. Denver's 5-4. I get it. They ain't a legit 5. Like they're not somebody you want to believe in and say okay they're a 5-4 football team and ready to roll. I like Kansas City to win that game by at least 10 points, easy. So I got Kansas City winning by 10, and I got the I guess Panthers on the points. The final one is Pittsburgh Washington. They got Pittsburgh 2.5. Oh, boy. I don't think this is going to be a close game, but I don't think the score is going to indicate how far away it is. Pittsburgh controls the clock. Pittsburgh wins by at least 4. So I like Pittsburgh to win by more than 2.5. I, and I like Washington. Spent the whole time talking about how good Washington is, but this is just a Pittsburgh game. Physical, nasty, no Thanksgiving time. The Commanders have no idea the physicality that's coming their way, and it'll be tough for them to play the Steelers and then turn around and play the Eagles, who are going to be chomping at the bit. You know, I understand what you're saying about the Eagles, but I think the Eagles have a focus about them right now. I know Jalen's dealing with some injuries, so hopefully they can get out of there early with and get ready for Washington. But yeah, so I like the Steelers to win big in that game. By big, I mean 5 or more.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with them. I like those picks. I can't argue that. 'Cause I was thinking of taking the Steelers too because I look at the fact that TJ Watt, they're swarming their defensive line is swarming the quarterback right now. And even though Jaden Daniels can escape that, you can't do it every single play. It's gonna be wave upon
exactly,
wave upon wave. Yeah, I can
exactly.
see that.
And even when they
I
hit
agree.
you, they hit you. Even when they
Yeah.
hit you, they hit you. They hit you, they hit you. Like there's no leg tackling. It's a great way to put it. The defense is always going forward in their tackles, and that's where they put it. And speaking of going forward, that's it for this episode of Unparalleled. That's it for this episode of another Unparalleled Sports Talk with myself, Kwame Fisher Jones, a little tongue tied here, and Chris Franklin. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you share, like, subscribe, anything your podcast platform allows you to. Until next week, we appreciate your time of year. You be easy.